Hello everyone and welcome to the Gaming News Roundup. My name is Amata and I'm going to give you all the latest in gaming as of the 14th of May 2012. The first piece isn't really a news item as such, but I feel like it's an interesting discussion to have because with the PS4 and Xbox 720 coming up, there's been lots of talk of them implementing technology to block the use of used games or pre-owned or any of that, which has obviously sparked a lot of discussion as to would they actually do this, would it be viable, what effect would it have on gaming, and obviously for the consumer as well would be the most affected person and things like that. And an article has appeared saying that the CEO of Sony has basically said that his personal stance, which obviously doesn't really affect the stance of the company itself or any of that rubbish, is opposed to blocking used games, and that used games are great for consumers and to block them would be an anti-consumer move. Obviously the Sony Japan might feel different and they obviously have the final word. He might be the CEO, but he still has to take the whole company into account. But I still find it interesting that someone so high up in the gaming industry has expressed this view, because we've kind of had mixed views from various people. There was a crisis director of development has said that it would be absolutely awesome from a business perspective, but then later said that that comment was not to be taken seriously. And the DICE CEO has said that it would both be a win and a loss. So mixed views from people high up in the gaming industry, and I think most people, consumers, feel that it would be a really bad idea for them. And just in general, it's like they may lose sales to pre-owned games, but at the end of the day, not everyone can afford to pay £40 or $60 or whatever for a console or PC title on launch, and not having used games isn't going to change that. You're just going to have less people know about your game and less likely to purchase a future sequel for that franchise or whatever, or one of your products in the future, because they haven't had the chance to experience it because they can't afford to buy the game. So I honestly feel like it would do more harm than good, because it helps spread the word of the game. It's like a ton of games I played on the PS2 years ago that were all pretty much pre-owned because I was a student. I couldn't afford to buy new games, and I wouldn't have played any of those games if I couldn't buy them pre-owned, and then wouldn't want to pay full price for any sequels or anything to do with that franchise in the future. So I honestly feel like it wouldn't be a good idea. I mean, it sounds like a good idea on paper. Yeah, used games are a huge problem for them, but there's got to be a better way around it than to just outright just get rid of them, because I just feel like it would cause more harm than good. Now, as some of you may know, there was some rumours that the Eden Games guys, the guys that were responsible for the game Test Drive Unlimited, had been closed by Atari, but the publisher has now officially issued a statement saying that the studio is still open and the support for its games is ongoing. And I've got a direct quote here. It says, "Our earnings statement contained a report about the divestment of Eden Studios," it said. "We want to make it clear that the studio is not closed, and we will continue to support the console and PC games of Eden Studios, notably Test Drive Unlimited 2, while this process is underway. The divestment is in line with our previous stated strategy of exploiting our popular intellectual property library on mobile devices, where we have seen strong initial success in VR-long games and licensing." So, happy news for those of you who are interested in the Test Drive series. It's never good to see a developer or anyone get closed down like that, regardless of whether or not you're into their titles. It's always a sad thing to see someone, trying to make their own mark on the industry just get closed down by their publisher, or just because they lack of money or whatever. So I'm definitely pleased to hear this. I'm not really familiar with this franchise myself, but I don't want any publisher to get closed down, no matter how much I disagree with the games they make or how much I might dislike them. It's never good for people to lose their jobs and all that good stuff. So I'm sure it'll please a lot of you out there who are a fan of this series and were getting a little bit concerned that maybe this Test Drive Unlimited would not ever be made because the studio would be closed down by Atari. But no, rest easy, it's not true. Square Enix fans will be happy to know that they have ended the financial year March 2012 in profit, thanks to the games Deus Ex Human Revolution and of course Final Fantasy 13-2. Basically they've had a huge increase in net sales, and they saw a profit of $47 million dollars or 6 billion yen, a noticeable improvement over last year's loss of 12 billion yen, which is 94 million. Obviously anyone can see, huge improvement there. I mean, I think the Final Fantasy 14 mess probably had a lot to do with that, but it wasn't all of it, so I'm happy to see them getting back where they should be again. They're one of my favourite developers, and not just because of Final Fantasy, because The World Ends With You and Kingdom Hearts and all of that good stuff, so happy to excuse me, happy to see that they're doing well for themselves again. They've officially stated that the group's results were favourable due to increased sales of console games boosted by major titles Deus Ex Revolution and Final Fantasy 13-2, although they didn't actually release any specific sales figures, but I don't think any of us need to see them to know that they are pretty huge. Both of those games were obviously highly anticipated, especially Deus Ex, and both of those games were actually pretty good, despite the slightly disappointing ending of Final Fantasy 13-2. It definitely bodes well because obviously they've got quite a few games up and coming, and a lot of people are looking forward to quite a few of those games. We've got Hitman, Absolution, Sleeping Dogs, and they're actually trying to re-release Final Fantasy 14 as well, which is going to be interesting. I'm not sure what to make of that. I would have thought that that MMO wouldn't even be going anymore after the disastrous release and how many problems it's had, and having to go free to play and get rid of the subscription model and all the rest of it. So I guess they're trying again with that, re-releasing it with all the patches and whatever else they made. So hopefully it picks up again, but I'm a little bit doubtful after everything's happened. I doubt anything new will be happening with Final Fantasy 14, but I could be wrong. As well as you may have heard, this news came alongside the news that the new Tomb Raider reboot would be delayed and won't be out in until 2013. Sorry. So a little bit of sad news for some of us there, but it's a little bit better that they take the extra time to actually finish the game properly and not try and rush it out for the original release date which they stated. So although it's a little bit disappointing that it won't be out until next year, at the end of the day it's better for the game and better for us if they take the extra time to improve it and work out what other problems they're having. So yeah, overall fairly good news for them. Anyway guys, that's me done for the day. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe and all that good stuff. And check back again on the channel because I try and do these news videos every few days, so yeah, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest news, look no further. Anyway, I'll see you again soon.